Still not in line. Oh, two at once. That was a short one as well. Go a little short on one of them. Oh, another couple have just shown just right at the spot. This is looking good. Right, so here we are down at the club lake, and we're going to do a video on long range fishing, and there's another one. This is, oh, we're excited. So yeah, like I say, we're down at the club lake and we're going to do a long range session. They're actually showing everywhere, so I'm not going to speak for too much longer. I want to get some zigs for now on the spots where I can see those fish showing, and then hopefully we get a bite early on. If not, I know there's a good spot out there at range, so I'm going to have a little mark about just to make sure that I'm happy with it, and then get some rigs on there. And fingers crossed we can have a few at long range, because, and again, that's what, 4 or 5 in 30 seconds? Ridiculous. So I'm going to get the rods prepped, get them out there, let's see what can happen. Well, you know what they say, a tidy little zig box. It's actually got all my leaders and heli safes and stuff like that, and a few chods. But you know what they say about a tidy rig box? It's not been used very well, so clearly I use it all the time. That's my excuse. Now I'm hoping that these are already tied up at a reasonable length. No, looks like new zigs it is. It's a common misunderstanding when you guys see me on the films. I'm actually 8'4", so I just have to measure to here, and no, I am inaccurately measuring a 6 foot and an 8 foot just to get them out there. Oh, that hook's sharp. Aha! Yeah, that'll be good. So that is zig number 2 ready to go out there. I've got 2 mini orange Northern Specials, just as something a little bit different to the black foam that I've put on the other rod. That went out really nicely, right amongst all those showing fish. This one's going to go a little bit further left. I mean, they've been showing everywhere, so realistically these next 2 rods are going to be within the showing fish as well. But yeah, these have just got a little bit more flavour to them because they've been soaking in some liquid for quite a while now. So yeah, let's get it out there, and fingers crossed something happens rather soon, which would be lovely. I was just getting lined up to cast it out, and I've just seen another one show probably around 100 yards. So I'm going to get this right amongst them all. Let's do it. That landed pretty much exactly where the fish showed. Now obviously, wouldn't be ideal if I just scared it off, but another one just showed there as well. So there's so many fish in the area. This is probably the most amount of activity I've seen on this lake for a while, which is feeling really, really good. The last few times we've been down, it's fished really tough. Change of weather, we had that northerly wind for a long period of time and then it changed suddenly. But weather's feeling good, fish are showing, got rods on them pretty quickly. So all we need now is a bite. Right, those two rods are in the zone, feeling good about them. Obviously, time will tell what happens, but for now, feeling very confident. I'm going to get the next rod all ready, and then we'll see about that third rod and whether or not we put it on the spot that we already know, or we put another zig out a bit more to the left because they've been showing here, there and everywhere. But yeah, exciting. Right, so I'm going to set a 45-minute timer just so it reminds me that I need to recast. The thing with zigs is that you can have them out there, but having them out there for a long period of time might not be the most beneficial way of using them. If the fish are still showing and they're still on the move around, I find the best thing to do is regularly recast them. So that 45-minute timer will just give me a little prompt to redo the rods. Right, so third rod is going to go on the deck. Now I already know from fishing this lake before that there is a nice spot out there. So I'm going to get it wrapped up and just cast it out as a single for now. And then after a few hours have passed of moving those two zigs around, then I'll think about putting maybe 3 on the spot or 2 on the spot and then roam the zig. But like I say, for now I'm just going to put this out as a single, and they are still showing on that spot out there, so you never know, could be the one on the deck that goes. So I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket. I'm keeping it a bit more versatile and doing everything I can rather than just putting them all on the spot and just hoping. It's feeling good, feeling good. So that's all wrapped up at 27.5 wraps. There's a nice big clean area out there, so at least I know how it should be presented. And what I'll do, like I said, is have a little bit of a lead about later on just to confirm that that area is still nice and clean. Now that, admittedly, it was my third cast. We do have a fairly strong crosswind. My first one was pretty much bob on line the whole way, but just drifted ever so slightly more than I wanted it to. But that was bob on. Felt like a good drop, but I was quite conscious that the fact that this wind is going to drift that line all the way to the right if I wasn't quick on it. So I've not even unclipped it yet. I've just walked back, tightened it down, slowly bringing that line down nice and straight, but very, very happy with where that landed. I don't think so. That felt like a pull though. Well, I think we're into a fish. Just had a couple of bleeps on the rod on the deck. I mean, if it is a fish, it's not given a great deal. There's definitely something there because that's just given a good pull back. Well, it wasn't a fish. Well, it was a fish, but it was a trailer. So what seems to be the biggest pop-up I've ever seen, along with a load of line, is what caused that, which is a little bit disappointing because one, that means the fish are out there, and two, I've got to get it back out there. So, not ideal, but these things do happen. So that's a bit disappointing. Thought I was in there and that would have been nice. It would have been an early bite, which is what we were hoping for. But I've got to look on the positive side of it. There is no longer a rig out there on the spot, and also what would have been worse is a fish trailing that rig, because we don't want damage to the fish at all. So I've removed it from that situation, which is a good thing, but it has meant that I've got to recast, which is not ideal. Now, it is worth mentioning that I am using pretty bulletproof line. This line is 0.39, so it's pretty strong, and it's essential on this lake because there's lots of snags out there that you can't see under the water, and this just reduces the chances of being cut off, which is probably what happened to that angler. Now, thicker line can limit the amount of distance that you can cast, but I am using 3.5 pound 13-foot rods, so it's not really been a problem for me at all, and I've been using them for a while now. So let's get this one back out. Right, so the left-hand rod has been brought in now because we are approaching nightfall, and it's probably about time that I have a quick lead about just to make sure that I'm super happy with where those rods are going to be. And yeah, I'm going to do a few casts. I'm not going to do too many because I don't want to disturb the fish if they're still in the area. We've still seen a few showing out there. It's not as full on as it was earlier, but they're definitely still in the area. So I'll try and keep it to a minimum. I've actually clipped up at 28 wraps for this, even though the spot is usually a 27.5 wrap spot. So I'll see what it's like. Give it a good cast. And the wind's died down now as well, which is nice. Now that was a little bit left of the spot, but that went down with an absolute crack. Probably got a rod length of pull back on that as well, so that was actually quite nice. A little bit deeper, so I can imagine that's starting to come down on the bar that's out there. So I said a minute ago that a few were still showing, and one has literally just shown over the zig, which is good. It means they're still out there, still active. Nice. Again, nowhere near the spot. That went down with a crack. Right, time to get the rods out. The wind has dropped. Very, very happy with the spot. That's all I need to say. Let's get them out there. Yes. Well, I was just actually coming back to the bivvy from next door in Matt's swim just to tidy up a few things, and the zig absolutely screamed off. So obviously I'd put the bait on the middle two rods, but this was still out to the right and it absolutely creamed off. It's unexpected to say the least, but I can see it right out in the middle, wallowing on the top at the moment. So I'm just gonna keep quiet for a moment, concentrate, because we're on zig line. I'll make sure I get this in fairly quick. Angry fish. Lent it for the zig. Absolute beauty. Yes. Oh, mate, what a buzz. Mate, that's a chunk. Well, that was well and truly nailed right in the bottom lip. Look at that. You couldn't ask for a better hook hold. Oh my life.
28.5.
Well, look at that for an absolute beast. Spawned out, but 28.5 pounds, and possibly the best looking fish I've ever caught. Absolutely buzzing, honestly. Outrageous looking fish. Amazing. Right, we'll get a few snaps and we'll get this old girl back. Thank you very much. Well, before I slip her back,
Let me just eat a mosquito.
Yeah. Well, before we slip her back, I need to show you the other side because it's equally as ridiculous. Look at that. What an absolute mega fish. Couldn't have asked for anything better. Ooh, thank you very much. Beautiful. And it's going to have a sulk in the edge. Well, good morning. We had a quiet night, which was actually quite nice because I think we both needed the sleep after the chaos just before we went to bed. And then yeah, the fish have been showing all morning again. Matt had one earlier on, which was great. Really nice ghosty. And then one of my rods on the baited spot was just absolutely creamed off. It's another nice mirror. You can see it in this really clear water just out in front of us. I think he's on the buzz that is. Oh mate, it's another mega looking one as well. Check out how dark he is. Check out that. Couldn't have asked for a better session. Proper chuffed. This one just tipped the scales over at £20. Really happy with it. Beautiful looking fish. So I think we'll get a few photos, slip her back, and then have a celebratory sausage cob, and then we'll talk all about those Daiwa Longbow rods. Buzzing. So let's take a break from the madness and have a look at the rods that I've been using for this session and for the last few months. These are the Daiwa Longbow X45m rods, and they're an absolute beast. They're my rod of choice for any type of long range fishing, and if I know that I'm going to be fishing over 100 yards, these are the rods that I'll be choosing. I did mention earlier in the video that I am using 0.39 line, which is quite a beefy line, but even with that line on the reel, these rods handle it really well. I can get out to the spots super easily. On my other set of rods, I did find it a bit of a task trying to get the rigs out into position, but since I've switched over to these rods, it's been an absolute dream. The longbows are steeped in history, and these are the latest models which have been upgraded with all the latest technology from the guys at Daiwa, which has improved it in every aspect. So one of the key improvements is that the longbow is now built on Daiwa's famous Magnum taper profile, which gives you incredible fish playing action and casting performance. Now it's safe to say, since I got these rods and started using them, although they are beefier, you still get that really nice fish playing action from the tip, but the power comes from the butt section. You feel like you're in control the whole fight. And that's been proven in this session. Like I mentioned earlier, there's lots and lots of snags out there, and you need to be in control for the whole way in. But even with that 28 pounder that I caught on the zig, the soft tip meant that I never felt I was at risk of losing the fish via either a hook pull or even breaking that lighter hook link. So you know that I've been using the 13-foot 3.5 pound test curve rod for my fishing, but there is a full range from the longbow lineup, ranging from a 12-foot 3 pound test curve all the way up to an absolute beast, which is 13-foot 4 pound test curve. Now you might be wondering, why would I want to be using a 13-foot 4 pound test curve rod? Now if I was fishing at mega ranges for all of my fishing, that is the rod I would choose. When you're pushing yourself to the limit, you need the right tool for the job, and this rod would be perfect for that. Not only is it going to get you to those extreme distances, but it still has that responsive and forgiving tip for when playing fish. Cosmetically, the rods are absolutely stunning. You've got a very minimalistic design with lightweight guides, a really comfortable sea guide reel seat, a shrink wrapped handle, and a small abbreviated section where the longbow decals are located. Now if I flip the rod upside down, you'll be able to see a Union Jack decal underneath the rod, and this signifies that the whole rod is made right here in the UK, just like all the other top end rods that Daiwa create. So not only do they look absolutely stunning both in hand and on the rod rests, but they're an absolute pleasure to use as well. It's safe to say that I'm really looking forward to continue putting these through their paces for the foreseeable future. But for now, I'm going to get this rod back out on the spot, because you never know, there might still be one more chance for a bite before the session's over. Beautiful. Well, that'll be it. And if you do want any more information about these rods at all, then we'll put a link in the description below that will take you straight to the Daiwa Longbow landing page, which has all the information you need about these rods.